Welcome to this video on MADM Academy. We're going to have an introduction here to online personal branding. So if you want to start networking and promoting yourself more effectively online, then we can start with the concept of online personal branding. So your brand really is everything that goes into the promise that you're making to customers or anybody that is going to interact and network with you in a professional capacity. So if we look at some big, really world-renowned brands such as Nike, their brand is all about making you feel like an athlete. You put on a pair of Nike running shoes and hopefully, that helps you get into the mindset of some of the athletes that are, attached to the Nike brand, the Nike public image. But obviously for ourselves and for smaller businesses, we don't have the tools or the budgets of companies like Nike, and that's absolutely fine. We don't need to go overboard when it comes to branding. Just think about some of the people that you see online, whether that's on Instagram, maybe YouTube. If you've got a LinkedIn account, you've probably started noticing people that post about particular things. Maybe they're seen as a bit of an expert in a chosen area. And really what they're doing is solidifying their brand. So really it is that first thought when we think of somebody in a professional capacity and what they do and what they offer, that's all to do with your brand. So for instance, do you want to position yourself as a graphic designer that specializes in promotional content for video games, for instance? If that's how you want to position yourself to a particular market, then that's brilliant, and that's what we need to be doing, really looking at the sort of services and skills that we can offer, and then building a brand around that. So really, when you interact with another company, with another business, or with other professional online, if they've got a good brand, then really we know what we want to be expecting from them, which is very, very helpful. So just think about how impactful that can be in terms of referrals and recommendations. If one of your friends or one of your work colleagues or somebody within your network has a particular problem that they want to overcome, let's say that they need a website, for instance, and they're really struggling to get a website made, and somebody that's positioned themselves, their brand is all to do with creating websites for small businesses, then immediately they're going to come to the forefront of your mind, and then you can offer them as perhaps a recommendation or a referral. You might have seen their content on LinkedIn, seen people in the comment section saying how much of a good service that they offer. This is all to do with branding, so that when we think of an individual or a person or a business, what is the kind of promise that goes with them, that if I spend my time or money, my resources on this individual or on this business, then what am I going to get in return for that? So let's look at a couple of supermarkets, for instance. Aldi, Lidl have positioned themselves as kind of, cheap and cheerful. You go there, it's quick, you're not there for leisure, you're there for, affordable, decent quality food. And that's all tied in with Aldi and Lidl's brand. Whereas you go to a more upmarket supermarket, for instance, and the experience might be slower, and all the branding that goes around that is to really back up that they will likely, with the increased price, try and push for a perceived increase in the terms of in relation to the quality of the food as well. So you've got two businesses in the same industry, two supermarkets that are positioning themselves very differently. The same as yourself as well. Are you a bookkeeper, an accountant that wants to do an almost cheap and cheerful service where you're quick, you don't really spend that much time really getting to know their business, you just provide a cheap, quick, effective, fast service? Or do you want to position yourself as an accountant who is more formal, more professional, perhaps spends more time networking with these with their clients and really getting to know their business and provide a more bespoke service? And that's how you would want to position yourself. So that is all in with branding. One thing that I would like to suggest is when you're looking at starting your own online personal brand, or you're looking at your own brand, for instance, don't get too caught up in trying to define your brand and try and create it too much, because really your brand comes best as a result, as a secondary effect of most of the other things that you're doing. So if you're providing, a good service at a particular price, you deliver on your word when you say you're going to do something, people get to know that you're reliable. Over time, with consistency, that is going to start developing your brand. So don't just go out there and start saying I'm a reliable, cheap, effective, whatever. We can kind of do that subtly, and it goes back to that sort of saying. I can't remember which author said it, but it was whoever it was right when they said it. That it's all about showing somebody and letting them come up with their own conclusion rather than telling them. So it's that show, don't tell. If something's going to be horrible, let the reader see that it's horrible, and don't tell them that it's horrible. The same as if you want to say that you're a reliable graphic designer, you don't necessarily have to go out there and start creating flyers that say I'm a reliable graphic designer. The reliable graphic designer for the video game industry should be something that comes as a result of the services that you're offering. But with that being said, we'll have a look at a little document that we've created for MADM Academy members, which is your online personal brand starter file. So this is going to look into, who you are, what do you do, more importantly, why does it matter, all the way through to looking at, what your promises are, what online sites and platforms are you going to use, and then we'll finish that off with, looking at how you're going to interact with us online. And also, looking at how people will contact you. Things like this are quite often overlooked. You can spend a lot of time looking at your brand, your slogans, your colours, your styling, your things like that, and actually overlooking key crucial steps, such as how easy are you going to make it for people to be able to contact you. And a good example yesterday happened on LinkedIn for me. I'd seen somebody post some content on LinkedIn, and I apologise, I just couldn't get my words out there. Somebody had made a post on LinkedIn yesterday, essentially, and I tried then following them so I could have a conversation with them, because I genuinely thought I would be able to help them. But actually, they'd set their LinkedIn profile so that there was like a security step. You had to type in their email address, i.e. know that you knew that person, to be able to actually connect with them. And it was just, a couple of steps too many. I didn't know the email address. I didn't really want to go, around trying to figure out how else I could do it, and I just left it. So, think about all things like this that can happen. We need to be making it as easy as possible to make sure that the right people can contact you. For what that person on LinkedIn was doing, probably thought they were doing, the right thing, making sure they weren't getting spammed, keeping their network small, etc. But it was just a really good example, I thought, of things that you can do that actually could probably, affect, how easily you are making it for people to be able to contact you online.